on the Gophers Sports Network from Learfield. This is Gopher Basketball Weekly with Ben Johnson. Now, here's the voice of the Gophers, Mike Grimm.
And we're off and running another edition of Gopher Basketball Weekly with Ben Johnson, Mike Grimm, along with Justin Gard, and we're thrilled to be with you here on this Tuesday, every Tuesday here for the next handful of weeks, and then we'll shift into a Wednesday format. Check your local listings, as they say. We'll keep you posted as we go, but it's a Tuesday edition this week, and we have Ben Johnson with us. JG, also good to see you.
You too, brother. How are things?
Doing fine. A nice bus ride to Indianapolis last night, a flight home. Slept in this morning, so nothing wrong with that. Ben Johnson, how are you?
We're good.
Yeah? Hanging in there?
We're good, yeah.
Last night, the Indiana Hoosiers got you guys 82-67 in Bloomington. Tough place to play. Obviously, they're a very talented team. And I guess first, before we get into maybe what you talked with your team about, what was your assessment of the game itself?
I thought, for spurts, we showed that, we can play the right way, that's conducive to winning. I thought for spurts, we showed more physicality than we did versus Michigan State in terms of just simple game plan stuff like screening on the ball, screening off the ball. I thought in spurts, we showed the ability, offensively to be decisive and play with force and get downhill or get to our spots. But as you guys know, in this league, you can't do that in spurts. You have to do it for lengths of time, and you've got to do it over and over and over in both halves. And when you're playing against a really good team like Indiana, they force you to be at your best. And if you're not at your best all the time, then you easily get exposed. And so these first two games were a good learning curve for our team about what we really need to work on that's going to help us be competitive in games down the road.
It was two teams, in essence, that have been picked to be contenders in the Big Ten. One's ranked. Indiana's probably going to find its way back into the rankings. You and I talked on the pregame show a year ago when the Gophers were at Indiana. It wasn't the opener of Big Ten play, and it wasn't the first road game. You guys had played at Ohio State, but remember the Ohio State game, it was the student break. They were on break, and it wasn't what you'd call the normal road game. I thought a year ago we talked about in the pregame, the guys were shell-shocked early, got down like 27-5, and then scrapped back to make it a single-digit game at the end. Last night, your guys withstood all that early stuff. You're up 22-20. Things are looking good. And then what do you think went sideways there?
Yeah, I just think we have a small window and room for error. And, one slip up on a detail, one turnover, one missed assignment defensively, it can combat quickly. And I think you saw that where we had a simple mistake or a breakdown, and all of a sudden you go from being +2 to down 6. Well, then on the road, that down 6 can easily turn into down 8, down 10, down 11. And now all your energy is fighting to try to get back in the game. And again, they're extremely talented. They are going to be one of the top, half teams in this league. And to play a team like that and have those breakdowns that lead to, a run or a stretch where now it is a double-digit lead, you're just putting yourself more in jeopardy from being able to get back in the game. And so, we've got to definitely learn from that. And I chalk it up. There's a bunch of new experiences with this team. Well, hopefully that's the first Big Ten in-league road game experience of, crowds going to get their team involved. Right. When your things are going well or it's not going great for that team, that's the crowd's job, is to get their team involved, get them back engaged. Did we handle that the right way? Did we let, their energy of the crowd spur us into speeding up or making mistakes that cost us? So hopefully that can be the last first of that. And then from here on out, again, you know what it's like at home. You know what it's like on the road. You know what it's like against top 25 type opponents. You know what it's like against NBA caliber opponents. Now let's move on.
You spent a lot of time talking to the team after. What was the objective? What did you want to get across in that specific moment?
I think the biggest thing was you just have to, at some point, draw a line in the sand. And at some point say, enough is enough. And whether that's self-induced, whether that's something that scheme-wise we need to get better at, whether that's something that the opposing team has done that we didn't properly handle, you have to say enough is enough. And so I think it was just one of those moments where You have to be able to look each other in the room and say, all right, let's talk about this. Like, let's break this down. Let's have open discussion, because there needs to be change. And again, you're dealing with a team where half the guys are from different scenarios, situations, levels, teams. And so sometimes you have to talk through stuff to get them to fully understand, okay, this is what it is and it's not changing. And for us to be successful, we can keep talking about it till we're blue in the face, but action has to back that up. And now that there's a reference point, playing 2 games, 1 home and 1 on the road, now we can really dive into like, all right, what we need to fix, what we need to make better, do we need to strengthen, and let's be honest about those conversations.
Well, the conversation piece is a big one. The Wolves just went through this, 2 weeks ago? Anthony Edwards said something like, we're not talking to each other. Things go bad and we kind of splinter. They have a new team. You have a new team. Is it more challenging when obviously Parker and Dawson have played together and other guys have been around, but you've got a lot of guys that maybe don't know each other as well, and they've been together since June, but those conversations come out of relationships, going through stuff, coming out of things together. Is that what you hope this is one of those situations where together they move forward through it, because they don't have 2-3 years of equity together, knowing how they're all going to react?
Right. No, I think that's a big part is at the end of the day, it comes down to trust. And again, now we're dealing with, young men. The maturity level has to be high, because you don't have years of relationships that you can fall back on in times of doubt or adversity. Michigan State's obviously a really good team. They only took 2 portal guys. You could tell how connected they were on the floor, just in the way they talked to each other, the ownership that they had for one another, what they were trying to do, their mission as a team. That you could feel that. We don't have the luxury of that. So now, a guy that you just met 4 months ago that you might say you have trust in, all right, in the heat of the battle, when it's live bullets and you got to rely on that, is there trust there? Or is it wavering? And it's easy when it's going well and you're winning to have trust.
Sure.
It's a lot harder when you're up against it or you haven't had the luxury of being able to fall back on a bus of successes. And each guy's past is different too. So the situation they came from, does that affect them here and now? And so, you want to be able to, you have to talk through those. There's only one way to attack it, is you got to attack it straight on. You got to attack it head on. There can't be there's no secrets. It's an open forum. And then once we've all addressed it, now it's about, all right, now where does the change take place? And I think you see that with our team. Like, we've had some really good practices. We had a really good, aggressive, tough, hard practice versus Michigan State. So then my question is, why does that not transfer to the game? What do we need to do differently? Because that is the standard, so we need to fix that. Where, again, how you practice and normally how you play, there needs to be carryover with that. And so you break that down of, here's the reason why I think that happens. Let's fix it.
There are certainly times in locker rooms where what is discussed in a locker room stays in a locker room. So I'll preface this question with, share what, as a coach, you want to share. How did that discussion go, if you want to share? Was it mostly coaches telling players, or was there open discussion with players offering thoughts in that post-game situation last night?
Yeah, I think, without obviously getting too in detail, it was a mixture of both. But I think more it was me expressing after 2 games, from the head coach's standpoint, here's what it is. Here's what it looks like. Here's what I feel. Here's what I see. Here's with being in numerous locker rooms as a player and a head coach, and being in this league and being in programs and teams where you've been really successful, or teams where you've had a bunch of talent, and then teams where maybe you're trying to build it and you're struggling a little bit. So having all those experiences, here's what it is, because I know, because I've been through it. And explain to them that. And then here's what it is with our team, and here is where we're at. And you need to hear this from the head coach's standpoint, right? This is what I see. And so from that standpoint, there is not a lot of debate. There's not a lot of there's not a lot of leeway when it comes to that, right? There is a black and a white. But then, sometimes you do have a player that will chirp in and will say, yes, that is true. Or, you'll have a guy that maybe says, we might not want to admit it, but what he's saying, there's truth in that. So I would probably say it was probably more of a one-sided conversation, and just in terms of, hey, this is what it is. We need to face this reality because that's how you fix it. You don't run from it. You run to it.
And then from that standpoint, what can you share with us about what those, you mentioned this is it, here it is. What are those issues that you specifically tried to tackle with this group?
It was the same thing we tried to tackle last year, and it was our biggest challenge last year. How do you win? And what does winning look like? And what does winning look like in this league, at this level, for this team? And with the new pieces, that's the constant challenge. Because everybody might have their own idea, even if you won or didn't win, about what winning is, right? Whatever school you came from, what winning for them at Oregon might look different, right? Dana's expectations might have been different. For Lukai at Charlotte, winning might have looked different or felt different, or responsibilities were different. Well, here, we need to figure out what winning looks like, and it starts with habits. All right, here's daily habits from each guy, and that might be roles, and your role might be a little bit different. But the first thing is developing and talking about, all right, what goes into winning and what does that look like, especially here in this league? What do we need to do, concept-wise in the Big Ten for this style of basketball to be successful? And so we talked a lot about just the winning habits, how you carry yourself every day, how winning doesn't just start during game time. It starts during prep. It starts when you get up in the morning. It starts with how you are academically, how you are socially, that all that transfers in. And can you stack little wins every day and getting these guys to view themselves as winners, even if they haven't maybe won on the biggest stage, meaning the Big Ten. They could have won at their other places, but to win here, it is different. There's a bigger spotlight. Let's be real. That's part of it. It's part of why they wanted to come here. And so getting them to understand and breaking that down, that, winning matters, and the details that go into winning helps you win. So let's figure that out.
Would you compare the talk last night to the one with San Francisco last year in the Chase Center, where I think you said we've got to watch the film and we got to watch it right now? There's stuff we got to do. Are there comparables?
Yeah, I texted Liv on the plane. Actually, I yelled at Liv on the plane. He was sleeping. So I was watching film, and I yelled at Liv on the plane. I said, are we legally allowed to practice or at least watch film tomorrow? He said, compliance-wise, no. And I said, okay. Otherwise, it would have been. It would have been San Francisco. If I could have stayed, we stayed in that locker. If I could have stayed and held that plane, we would have watched tape there and watched the game there like San Francisco. Because it's hard to just sit there in it. But sometimes you have to, and that's one thing we told our guys too, is it needs to feel bad. Yeah. You need to sit in it. It needs to not feel good. It needs to be uncomfortable. It needs to be questions. But yeah, it's going to be a very similar frame by frame because we don't all see it and we don't all know it yet, and we need to. And again, I'm good with losing. I mean, you don't want to, but obviously it's the way it looks. Yep. And what you put on film. That's what I care about, because if you put good stuff on film over time, you're going to find success. But it not looking the way it needs to look, and we know it, and let's address it.
Well, my next question was going to be, what's today look like then? So you can't do anything with them today. So what's it look like when you come back, whenever that is? I know it's a finals break now. There's some ambiguity there. But what do you want the next time you're all together to look like, or what does it need to look like?
So the best part, there's no good part to not be playing well, but if there is going to be a time, it's now, because you have 10 days where there's no, we're worried about FDU, but that's not till the 21st.
Right.
So now we can literally take practice and worry about, all the stuff that we need to clean up without having to worry about scouting report. We can work on. To me, the challenge is, because we've had good practices, is, the time it needs to really matter is the 21st. So, we can't be the team that we practice really well, and then when it counts on game day, it's not the same team. So that's going to be a major point of emphasis. I know we're going to practice great. And it's probably going to make me more mad tomorrow. And I told my staff, I'm going to be more frustrated tomorrow, because it's going to be awesome and the energy is going to be there and that ball is going to be popping and there's going to be no agenda and it's going to be great. So that's no longer the challenge. The challenge is, on game day, is your compete that high enough? Is your play hard that high enough? Is your trust that high enough? Is your connectivity that high? That's what I care about. We're going to practice fine. We're going to get better. is there carryover? Is there belief and trust and carryover so that on game day you get the fruits of your labor?
Was the because every coach over the course of time has a loss that they're not thrilled with, and then the decision has to be, all right, we're gonna do a 30-second post game and get on the plane and get home, or we're gonna hammer a few things out. So what was it about that? What was the emotion? Were you pissed off? Were you angry? Were you frustrated? What was the ultimate thing? All right, we gotta hammer some things out here before we get on this bus.
You probably it's everything. I don't think you necessarily just one emotion. I think it's everything. And I think they were probably, if they were honest, they were probably sensing that too. You know, no player wants to play bad. No player wants to not have, you know, the right mindset and mentality, and they all want it. And so sometimes it's having that talk so that they can express that, they can get it out, they can not compartmentalize it. And so, yeah, I think it's all those emotions. You're just sitting in the locker room after the game, and your thoughts are running, and, you know, maybe you're meeting along with the staff, and then that delays the meeting with the team, and then you get in the team, and as you get to going, if you can sense that they're feeling it, well, then you just go longer, right? There's times where, you know, if it looked different or felt different, then maybe it is a quick in and out. And then there's other times where it's like, no, this needs to be, we need to sit here and sit in it and talk about it and not worry about time or not worry about the bus and not worry about the flight. And that is what it is.
Yeah. All right, let's take our first break. We'll come back. We'll continue to chat with head coach Ben Johnson. It's Gopher Basketball Weekly with Ben Johnson from Learfield.
Welcome to the Make It Jingle with Chris Kringle podcast. Today we're talking to Jan from Toyota, all about Toyotathon.
Hi.
So, Jan, got any red Tacomas?
Yeah, we have a great selection of vehicles, including Tacomas.
After my big job, I'm taking the missus down to Florida to go surfing.
Did you say Florida? Can the elves and I go too?
Dealer inventory may vary. Offers are subject to change throughout Toyotathon, which ends on January 6th. See your participating Toyota dealer for details. Toyota, let's go places.
Do you know how plastic bottles become shirts, shoes, or backpacks? What happens when your recyclables leave your curb? Can they really become something new? Visit WM.com to learn how WM helps turn your plastic bottles into everyday products, giving materials a second life. WM has the recycling infrastructure, innovation, and expertise to serve our Twin Cities community and care for our planet. The recycling process starts and ends with you. Visit WM.com to learn more.
Kids, some days keeping up with them takes everything you've got. And in return, they give us everything they've got. At M Health Fairview Pediatrics, we've made it our life's work to care for kids. To do anything and everything we can for every kid who comes through our doors. Because the most important people in your world are our whole world. Learn more about a world of care just for kids at mhealthfairviewpeds.org.
Are you looking for concert or sports tickets? As a local Minnesota company, Ticket King is a company you can trust. They have seats to fit every budget and even offer parking or tailgating passes, and all tickets are guaranteed. Each order is personally attended to by one of our dedicated customer service representatives who are committed to providing you with a courteous, professional, quick, convenient experience. Visit us at TicketKingOnline.com or call us directly at 612-341-4131.
Hey, Gopher fans. Ready to show your true colors? The University of Minnesota Bookstores has everything you need to gear up for game day. From the latest maroon and gold apparel to exclusive Gopher merchandise, we've got your fan essentials covered. Visit us in-store at Coffin Memorial Union or shop online at bookstores.umn.edu. University of Minnesota Bookstores, your one-stop shop for all things Gopher pride. Sky U Ma.
You can guarantee yourself a Minnesota maroon and gold win when you sell your business with Sunbelt Business Advisors. Sunbelt is a local alumni-owned company and proud sponsor of Gopher Athletics. Sunbelt provides business owner brokerage services to small businesses as well as mergers and acquisition services for companies up to $150 million in revenue. Are you thinking about selling? Sunbelt can help you make the most from your life's work. Visit sunbeltminnesota.com for a free confidential value range. Minnesota's largest seller of companies. sunbeltminnesota.com.
How much can you save when you shop Cub? Let's just say you might need a bigger cart. We've lowered prices, so you save more. On Essential every day, it's easy to see the savings. Across the aisles, from pantry products to frozen foods to delicious dairy and more. Your family will love it, guaranteed, or your money back. Shop Cub and save today. My Cub, my way. See store for details.
The University of Minnesota teams and traditions are legendary. Our team at Strategic Wealth Designers are proud to be a partner of Minnesota Athletics. What an honor to be working together. When you're ready to discuss your financial future, call the team, the Golden Gophers Trust. We look forward to creating your winning strategy for retirement. Visit us at swdgroup.com today and go Gophers.
You. This holiday season, don't forget to put you on your gift list too. Treat yourself to scratch games from the Minnesota Lottery. Minnesota Lottery. I'm in. Must be 18 or older to play. Please gift responsibly.
No matter who you are or what you do, there's a Ford vehicle that can help you own the day. Make life on the go a walk in the park with the new Ford Explorer. Become the MVP of the work site with the unrivaled performance of a new built Ford Tough F-Series truck, the best-selling trucks in America. Or discover what it really means to adventure in the great outdoors with a new Bronco Sport. Whether it's for work or play, there's a Ford with a great deal waiting at your local Northland Ford dealers. Don't wait. Get behind the wheel of a new Ford today. Based on calendar year total sales.
Visit the University of Minnesota bookstore and discover the area's largest selection of U of M and Golden Gopher apparel and novelties for fans of all ages. From the latest fashions to traditional favorites, the University of Minnesota bookstore is your one-stop shop. Visit online or in person. Online, it's bookstores.umn.edu, and we're around that gift-giving season, so lots of great Gopher and U of M stuff there if you want to please the Gopher fans in your family. Mike Grimm and Justin Gard with you from the Gopher basketball facility. It's another edition of Gopher Basketball Weekly with Ben Johnson. We've talked a lot about the post-game meeting last night, Coach, that you guys had. One follow-up here to start our second segment. Dawson spoke with a couple of reporters after the game and mentioned a few things about that, or was asked about it, I guess. It wasn't as if he was willingly wanting to volunteer a whole bunch of stuff, but he was asked about it. One of the things he said was that Coach called out that there are no leaders on this team, and he goes, that was a shot at me and Parker and Mike, and we take it and we will be better about that. So take me through what you meant there and what you want to see from those old guys.
Yeah, no, it wasn't like a personal attack. I just went in there and again with a team where half the roster's new. You know, you're thinking of ways of like, all right, as a coach, you know, finger pointing that you never want to do that.
Right.
So you're trying to think of ways of going, okay, who all needs to own this a little bit? And so just went on the board and wrote every returner's name down, including Reader and Max, you know, all those guys, KB, you know, obviously Dawson, Mike, Fox were on there. So I think it was like those 6 guys. And I just said, you know, I'm putting this on you guys because you guys were the ones that were here last year that understand from our standpoint for Minnesota what winning looks like and what goes into winning in those habits, whether it's in the weight room, in practice, carry over to games, in the bench and timeouts, whatever, locker room, bus, hotel. And I said, some of you guys, meaning those guys, need to own that. And you can't just be, you know, I don't want them to just be part of the team when it's easy. Like, this is part of being a team, is a leadership piece, even Reader. You know, a guy that, you know, doesn't have as big as a role as Dawson. But those guys know the expectation. They've been in this league. They've won at this league. They went to postseason play. So part of the disconnect in the locker room is like, have you guys led enough and taught those guys how to do it? Because they might not know. And just to get that conversation going of, you know, leadership from the top, myself included, like, it's got to get better. And we all need to look at it from a certain lens. Well, those 6 returners, that's part of the responsibility of being a returner, is that you have been through it. You do know better. And you need to voice that. There needs to be carryover between you six and that needs to bleed to those other guys to a certain extent. And so I just want them to kind of own that and continue to work on that. Everybody wants to talk about leadership or captains and all that and who goes to the center circle. It's all fluff, right? True, leadership or true command of a team or a locker room is, doing the stuff that isn't popular, making the comment that isn't popular, enforcing habits, especially when you know the habits that are needed to be successful for guys that are new.
And those guys have done it, to your point, right? I mean, we all remember last year in Big Ten play, you did things that hadn't been done in a while, right? So that's got to be the frustrating part, and I'm sure they're frustrated too, is those guys should be building off of that, right? And craving that and wanting more of that given the success of a year ago.
Yeah, and that's the piece that when people talk about culture, I mean, that is culture. That's what Purdue, Michigan State, I mean, you look at like the staples of this league that have been able to have retention. I think that again, in this day and age, the retention piece is so valuable because of that. If you're constantly having player changeover, you're constantly having to reform and build your culture every day even more, right? You're already doing it every day with holdovers and retention, but to emphasize it every day, even more with guys that it's new to. So now it's like those guys that are back, the ownership's got to be on you even more, right? And it's got to get you to have a voice, whether it's, again, in practice, in film, in a walkthrough, not just when times are down, but like, what does that energy look like when you're winning and you've put on a win streak and you've got a couple, how do you maintain that? And I just think the best way to do that is the guys that have been around it, that knows what it looks like, the veterans, so to speak, you've got to be that voice.
Last night, everyone, I suppose, watches a game and looks at it through different things. It might, hey, that was a good piece, that was a poor piece, that was great, that wasn't so great. One of the things that you've talked about now in these two Big Ten games was getting back on defense. It was the first thing you told me in the Michigan State game, and then you won the tip, missed a shot, and in 4 seconds, Michigan State had a bucket. And I'm sure that's frustrating as a coach to have spent the entire prep telling your guys, hey, it's you got to get back on defense. You can't allow transition points. And like in a 4-second span, they scored. Now, it got better as the game went on last night. It looked to me, and again, I don't know what the game plan was, and maybe I'm even viewing it wrong, but it looked like there were times where you were like, we can't crash the offensive glass. We got to get back. And even in some of those cases, they still were able to get down, Indiana, and they have bigs that can run and are talented. And they got some points in the paint, some transition buckets. So what's a way to try to, I mean, you're not crashing, so then you can't get an offensive rebound, so at least you want to get back. But how do you improve on that part of it? Because I'm sure that's a frustrating aspect. At least it looked like it to me.
Yeah, no, I think that's a big aspect. You don't want to give up, easy baskets. I think we got caught up a little bit frustration-wise with what was going on offensively once they made their run, and it got, I think, right around the 10-minute mark. So we let our offense impact the effort defensively to get back in transition. I think it's simple as that. So it could have been a quick shot. It could have been an ISO one-on-one when all of a sudden there's no ball movement, there's no body movement, guys don't feel engaged in the play, when all of a sudden that affects the effort going the other way. When the ball's flowing and you're making good plays and part of it. And then I think, again, it's just as simple as we have to get back. Like, you can't run by your guy. That's not good enough against teams that really try to push it. Like, you got to get back, beat them, get set. And so it's working it more. It's drilling it more. Again, excited for these 10 days to fine tune just that little stuff. And also the maturity of your team to say, one can't impact the other, even though that's what human nature tells you to do.
Right.
That when stuff isn't going well for me, or we're taking quick shots, or we're taking contested shots, or it's long shot, long rebound, that can affect the effort part of getting back and getting set.
Yeah, and probably some of this too is part of that learning experience. Oh, the coach was not messing around. It's right. This is quick. The other thing maybe that I've noticed is there is some indecision, it appears, at times on the guards. Do I shoot the open three or do I drive? And it's almost worse you'd rather either shoot or drive, but to be in between and hesitate. And maybe that's what this time then can help too, because I'm sure some of those guys are like, can I get this shot off? This guy closing out, what do you do? And eventually they'll hopefully understand what they can and can't do.
Yeah, and I think, hopefully they understand, for us, the pace that we want to play, what is a good shot for us, time and score, like all that stuff does factor in, and again, some of that does come with reps. Some of it comes with just being aggressive, assertive, being confident, understanding your abilities. Like, I do think we have guys that are good shooters when we take good ones. And a good one could be early. It could be one reversal, but if your feet are set and it's the right guy and you're confident, like, that is a good shot for guys on our team. But it's getting them to understand. And again, sometimes all that stuff, gets hypersensitive when you're in that competitive environment on the road. And again, hopefully that was just a one-off where you can say, all right, fellas, we need to play the same way against Indiana than we did, at home versus Bethune. The opponent's different, right? The circumstance might be different, but the game's the same. How we want to play is the same. And so it's getting that message to be, that's the constant. Then we talk about habits. That's the habit. How we play is a habit regardless of circumstance. You can't let the circumstance affect you. And again, we just got to keep repping it, keep harping it, keep getting those guys to believe that, and play to it.
All right, let's take another break. We'll come back. We have the long contested 2 coming up with Justin Gard and the head coach, Ben Johnson. It's Gopher Basketball Weekly with Ben Johnson from Learfield. Welcome back, Gopher Basketball Weekly with Ben Johnson, Mike Grimm, and Justin Gard with you. Hey, we have a new giveaway each week. We're giving away a $25 gift card to the University of Minnesota bookstore, and you can win it at home. All you got to do is visit the Sign Up to Win page at gophersports.com. Visit gophersports.com/U of M bookstores to enter, and we will mail one gift card each week to one of the lucky winners. Here we are. It is time for the long contested 2 with Justin Gard.
Outside of basketball, that's what we like to do in the long contested 2 when we can. This might be the biggest conversation being had in the Twin Cities right now. Has Sam Darnold done enough to completely, and I know you've watched the All-22. I know instead of Indiana film on Sunday, you were watching Vikings-Falcons.
Breaking down a 5-touchdown performance.
I know you were watching the All-22 and looking at cut-ups. But has Sam Darnold done enough for the Vikings to consider blowing up their original plan of the bridge quarterback and handing the keys to J.J. McCarthy next season?
And you know what's tough? I literally have not watched.
Good answer.
So
yeah. I don't know if it's true or not. But that's a good answer.
I promise you, if I would, I'm a Vikings guy. This year, whatever, I just have not. So I could not. I didn't see a second of the Atlanta game.
He may get some MVP votes, Sam Darnold. He's in the MVP discussion. I don't think he'll get votes, but he's, what would you say, Grimmer? Top 5 quarterback right now. I don't know.
The voting, do they vote for 10 guys? So he'll be in those lists.
Yeah.
He probably won't get any first place.
So this is the hard part where you get screwed being the higher ups is you could get banged by making either decision.
Yeah.
So
that's why I wanted to ask you as a coach.
Yeah.
Who knows? So
because of that, again, the general public, they're gonna side whatever way you don't go and it work. You're an idiot, the whole deal, which is fine.
And then in 2 years they'll look back and then see the results and say, well, that was either great or poor. Yeah.
Catch-22 always. But what I will say is, they're in practice every day, and that matters. Like fans and us, we just see the game, but you're in practice every single day, so you have a better understanding of the way it's going when they were both healthy and when they are now, with just having one being available. So those guys have a feel of you know what? Hey, stuff could be working, but you could still know long term this ain't it. Mm-hmm. Stuff could be working. You could say, you know what? This is it. We've got something here. So I think that's part that people don't see. You just see the 2.5 hours on the game, but when you're in the building every single day and you feel the belief of the team, you feel how that player is every single day, that's how they make those decisions. So whatever decision they make, it's not just solely based on game day. It's based on the feeling and the vibe and what they see every day.
And certainly money's going to factor into it because he's a free agent and someone might pay him a lot. And
what is his NIL number, do you think?
It's pretty good right now. I mean, 10 mil's not bad, but I think he can go in the portal and get more. Yeah, he can go in the portal and get more. Where did I want to go? You interrupted me. I had a follow-up to a follow-up, and I can't remember what it was.
He can be a free agent.
No, he can be a free agent.
Well, the good part is
Sam Darnold. Go ahead.
Maybe as you're thinking, at least now, it's a good problem to have. And now you just consume, let's just win now. Like, that will take care of itself. So I know you got to somewhat think about the future for sure. But it's also like, all right, as the coach and the staff and the upper management, it's like, let's continue to worry about, we can control the now first.
Right.
So let's make sure we continue this wave. And if we have to make that tough decision, well, hopefully it's after a complete year of success. And then those tough decisions have to be made.
Postseason will have an impact too, right?
Well, that's what I want, because we talked about this on the radio the other day, because some people are saying, well, if he plays bad in round one and they lose to Tampa, well, then it's easy to do. I said, really? Like, in his first playoff game ever, as a guy we talked about earlier, guys going through stuff for the first time. Now, I'm not saying it should or shouldn't, but to me, it's too black and white to go, oh, he threw a pick in the red zone against Tampa and they lost 24-21 on a last-second field goal. Wasn't ready for it. We got to move on to JJ. I think that's ridiculous.
Never played at NFL game.
Yeah, I think that it should obviously have an impact. Like, if he's horrendous, maybe you go, okay, maybe he's just not ready, or you say he's going to be better next time because earlier in the year, he had a bad week and a half, and we got him through that, and he's threw 5 touchdowns. Like,
what if he stays on the heater and takes him to the big game?
Well, that's the thing. And it's such an insane conversation to have, because in August, the conversation was, when's JJ going to get the ball?
Yeah.
Because Darnold's just here to hang, and when are we going to hand it off to the future? That's why sports is fun and aggravating, because this is an insane conversation.
Yeah.
If you rewind
and
the
the
clock,
salary
6
cap
months.
can have an impact.
Yes.
Right? I mean, at the end of the day, you got to judge whether a guy who's been really good is worth the money, or do you want to be much less expensive at that position to help bolster the rest of the team?
Yeah, that's why it's not as simple as just, hey, we watched him on Sundays and he's playing well or he's playing not. There's so many other factors that go into it.
Man, but you've searched for a quarterback forever, and this might be the guy. Or you're just going to let the guy walk away someplace?
I would franchise him myself.
Yeah.
Because there's some people that say, well, that's kind of dirty because you brought him in to be the bridge and then go live the rest of your life. Now, I'd say he's probably going to make $40 million for
the year.
Real
dirty.
So how dirty is it? Like, I don't know.
You'll take that dirty?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to do me dirty like that, remember?
Yeah, I'll
$40 million for a year. But yeah, it's an insane conversation. So if he takes him to the Super Bowl, is it just a lock that you have to bring him back?
Yeah, I think that obviously complicates things, because the other part that's underrated is the locker room. And I think if you look at most good franchises, you have to take that into account. Like, who do the guys believe in to a certain extent? Not that they're making decisions, but if the guys have a belief that this is our guy, players are resilient. You can get to the Super Bowl and not have the outcome you want, but still believe in everybody in that locker room. Mm-hmm. And as management, if you make that change, you could end up changing way more than you anticipated by that one decision. And I think that's important too. Is like, okay, again, they know every day what that player brings to the table. That's intangibles, but does he have the locker room? If he has the locker room, it's hard not to run it back with the guys full of belief that say, no, this is our guy. Especially if you get to the point of like being in position and you lose that one game. How many teams want to make it to even that place? So it's not like you're starting at ground zero with this guy. Like, you're in a great position, and if it's just make an adjustment for that one game, well, I'd rather do that than to have to totally reboot and have a new guy come in if everything else is aligned, I think. But you definitely got to factor that in. It's like, the vibe of the locker room and the belief is such a big part, especially when you have a good team. Because, like, what's the separator that's going to get you over that hump? And it's not as big of a margin as people think. And it could be just, sticking with the guy that everybody knows in the building is the right guy. No, let's figure it out so we have a better one game to end the season.
And part of the plan, obviously, to have JJ was because you have an inexpensive rookie quarterback on his rookie deal, and then you can build the whole team. And if you have to pay a quarterback $40 million, does that change who you're able to keep defensively? I bring all that up because you're about to enter the salary cap world a little bit. In a sense, you have a salary cap with whatever your NIL is and all those things, but with rev sharing and everything, you're about to go through that. So how much have you, obviously this is a kind of a rhetorical question, but give us a sense of how much time has been spent either in the summer or all fall, like just even looking towards next year with this is what it's going to look like. Here's what we might do in the portal. Here's guys that are going to may have this, making this, quote unquote, and we're going to pay him this next year. I have to imagine it's a lot of time that's been spent with those numbers.
Yeah, no, it's as far as just maybe outside of obviously coaching and game planning, where that's practice for games, it's the next thing. It's the new recruiting. We talk about in recruiting, you got to do it every day. You talk about it every day. You meet about it. This is the new form of recruiting. So it's every day. It's the most important thing, outside of the guy that you have and developing them and game planning and practicing and all that for this current year, or this current day or current game. That's the next important thing. And you're always thinking about it. It's always changing. We even talked about today that there's an argument now of collective bargaining that by the players and having a union. And so every day, every week, there's something new that's brought to the table. There's all these legislative laws that come into place, and some are added, some are taken away, some are reformed literally weekly. So what it looked like in August is different than what it looks like now, which could be different than what it looks like in the spring. So you're always keeping track of that, which means you always got to talk about it. You always got to think about it, and you got to be ready to adjust with every situation. But at the end of the day, I think we're all quickly learning, your roster management, development, growth. That's the biggest thing. That's kind of the pro sport model. Like, you can have a lot of good things going. If you don't have Jimmys and Joes, it makes it a lot harder.
Very well. Let's take a break. We'll come back. There is a break on the schedule. We'll talk about how the Gopher program will handle that here until the 21st of December. Lots of stuff in between there, finals, the holiday, all of that. So stay with us. It's Gopher Basketball Weekly with Ben Johnson from Learfield.
Welcome to the Make It Jingle with Chris Kringle podcast. Today we're talking to Jan from Toyota, all about Toyotathon.
Hi!
So, Jan, got any red Tacomas?
Yeah, we have a great selection of vehicles, including Tacomas.
After my big job, I'm taking the missus down to Florida to go surfing.
Did you say Florida? Can the elves and I go too?
Dealer inventory may vary. Offers are subject to change throughout Toyotathon, which ends on January 6th. See your participating Toyota dealer for details. Toyota, let's go places.
Midland Hills Country Club offers a wonderful setting for any of your upcoming holiday events. Our facilities and excellent food and service are sure to exceed your expectations. Let our professional staff guide you in making your event a memorable one. Come experience what Midland Hills has to offer. We're conveniently located in Roseville, just 10 minutes from either downtown area. Visit midlandhillscc.org.
You depend on CenterPoint Energy to deliver energy for what matters most to you, your neighbors, and throughout the land of 10,000 lakes, so we can all make a better tomorrow. That's why we're investing in the latest technology to reduce emissions, offer rebates on qualifying energy-efficient natural gas equipment, and provide energy-saving programs that help save you money. Look ahead at centerpointenergy.com/futuremn.
With a Planet Fitness Black Card, you don't just get a great workout, you get a great perk out because your membership is packed with perks. For $1 down and $24.99 a month, you'll get perks like access to any of our 2,400 clean and spacious locations. Bring a friend anytime and both work out with tons of equipment that'll give you that big fitness energy. Relax in the Black Card spa and more. Work out and perk out with the PF Black Card. Join for just $1 down and $24.99 a month. See Home Club for details.
Welcome back. It's Gopher Basketball Weekly with Ben Johnson, our final segment. We want to thank on-site engineer Dan Robotham, our in-studio producer Michael Tackett. Oh, a round of applause from Guardsy.
Big time.
And Michelle Train-Traversy from Gopher Sports Communications Associate Athletic Director for helping out with all of this. Mike Grimm and Justin Gard with you. Our final segment here. There is a bit of a layoff from a game perspective. Certainly doesn't mean that guys won't be on the court and doing things. So in terms of the overall, the 30,000-foot view of the next almost 2 weeks now, what will it be like for you? Because we hear all the time, like, man, once you get into the season, it's hard to really get some practice time, but you've got some practice time coming up probably.
Yeah, no, it's a great time to get in, a lot of work with practice, building those habits that we talked about. Now you've got a good chunk of the season plus, league games where you can really get a sense of, okay, this is where we're at as a team. Here's what we need to fix. Here's what we like, and go for it for the rest of the year. But really just to fine tune and to do it in longer practices, competitive practices without having to worry about a game plan, and then obviously a little bit of recruiting.
I know you're not the academic advisor, but you're locked in on what's going on school-wise. We talked last year about which was it speech class that you did with Rick Rickards' wife, Cece?
Sign language.
Sign language. Yeah. That's what it was. And you had to take the sign language speech class. I knew it was communication.
That was good.
Yeah, you speak quietly. Yeah, it's sign language.
Could go to the speech class.
Because this is a finals break, right? So I'm curious if you've caught wind, if there's like, and you don't have to name names, but like most ridiculous class one of your players is taking that's like super hard, where you go, wow, I can't believe that makes no sense to me. Or if there's something on the other end where you go, oh, they're still doing that here, like that you remember as an athlete or as a student athlete here. Oh, they're still doing sign language or something like that. Anything pop?
We're the Harvard of the Midwest, so I would probably lean more towards the harder. So I think anything, we got a couple guys in Carlson. So I would say there's some obviously challenging classes in the business side of things, especially the guys that are in the higher ups.
They're the one giving you side eye last night at Assembly Hall, being like, "Coach, we got to go. It's finals. I got a final."
They're the guys where some guys will watch film on the plane and they're doing the homework on the plane.
I was filling out some of my stuff yesterday at the hotel lobby because there's more room down there at the big table. I need room, and Cam Williams is down there, and he's got stuff. He's got his headphones on, but he's got a whole bunch of stuff in the computer, and he must be into some. I don't know. Is he masters or?
Yeah, no, Caleb's got a crazy, he's got a crazy schedule. He's a super driven student, and he's always, working on something. So he would be a guy, Lincoln would be a guy. Jackson, our GA, I know is going through his master's program right now. I mean, those guys are smart, above my pay grade. So you try to ask them questions. I try to be engaged with it, but it's like so over my head. I'm just all right, whatever, man. You're good.
Who's Cam Williams? How did I come up with Cam Williams?
Not sure.
I'm a combination of getting old. Caleb and Christy. I don't know.
Yeah, watching Grim get old, I said this about October. It's going to be fun.
Yeah. Speaking of sign language, I give Dan Robotham sign language every time I see him.
Yeah, he's starting to slow down a little bit. So just be ready for it in your pregame interviews. Grimmer's having some issues, so we got to help. We got to help.
Well,
I can ask and answer my own questions.
Let's calm down a little on that. Let's not go overboard. It isn't that bad. I mean, Michelle was trying to get me figured out on how to place my Chipotle order, but outside of that,
you are the progressive commercial or whatever that is.
Yeah, turn it into your parents. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Gargi brought up the finals, and then you got the holiday, so I'm sure there will be a little time off there. So how do you try to just look at the calendar and navigate through what you can navigate through there?
I think, obviously with finals week, you got to give your guys some mandatory study days off. And then we'll try to have a balance, on some of those off days of going out and seeing some of the kids that we've signed, for the incoming class. I always enjoy watching those guys go and play. And some of them are in holiday tournaments. Some of them are just in practices, but gives you time, whether it's a weekday or weekend to get out and go see those guys and show face, which is always fun.
Yeah. I bet they always like it too. I bet it's always cool for them.
Yeah, and not on purpose, but we got 2 guys in California, so now you get a little weather break and you get time to be out there and get a day and a half in the sun and a little bit warmer weather. So that doesn't bad. That's not bad. I don't complain about that.
Not on purpose, he says.
Yeah,
not on purpose.
You haven't had a chance to watch the Vikings. Have you had a chance to get out and start Christmas shopping? Your gift-giving season?
No, that's
nothing yet. Is that last minute for you?
That'll be last minute. Amazon scramble, Nike Elite.com scramble.
Yeah, equipment room.
That'll be calling somebody. Hey, who can you pay to wrap presents at like Ridgedale Mall?
Yeah,
that'll be. Is there any one-stop shopping in the last resort? Is just forget it. Card, envelope, cash.
Yep. Very good. All right, well, we will reconvene next week at this time. Does that sound good to everybody?
I'll be here.
All right, sounds great. We want to thank everyone involved with the show here. Next game is December the 21st. It's a Saturday afternoon game. Farley Dickinson, the opponent. Tickets available at gophersports.com. This has been Gopher Basketball Weekly with Ben Johnson from Learfield.
When you're high, you feel different. You think different, you talk different, you draw different, you listen to music different, but you probably knew that. Problem is, you also drive different, and not in a good way. That's why driving high is illegal everywhere. So if you're high, just don't drive. Make a plan to get a sober ride. Because if you feel different, you drive different. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
As veterans, we're no strangers to helping others.
That's what we were taught, service before self.
But we do have one question for the veterans listening.
When was the last time you reached out for help?
If you or someone you know needs resources, whether it's for stress, finances, employment, or mental health, don't wait. Reach out.
Find more information at va.gov/reach. That's va.gov/reach.
Brought to you by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and the Ad Council.
On the Gophers Sports Network from Learfield, this has been Gopher Basketball Weekly with Ben Johnson. The preceding has been a Learfield presentation on the Gophers Sports Network.